This morning, my rant is about naysayers. Stick around.
The Fasting Diaries of Joanna Ruth. Number 8. Naysayers are going to say nay.
Good morning, everyone. This is Joanna Ruth from JoannaRuth.Online and Low to Zero Carb Coaching. Welcome. I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers who have turned up after my Dave Mack interview. I'm sure there's a few more to come. Welcome. I hope you enjoy the content. At the moment, most of what I'm producing is the fasting diaries of me, Joanna Ruth. So I have an update for you, a few screen shares. It is true, I have not broken my fast. I'm now on day 8, feeling absolutely fine. It wasn't weird to keep fasting through the weekend. I thought it might have been, but it wasn't. It's actually quite a relief, to be honest. Um, I've spent a lot of effort, a lot of mental effort over the last nearly 10 years. No, yes, probably 10 years, um, thinking about what I'm eating and analyzing what I'm eating. It started with well, it wasn't too bad when I just had restrictions like I don't eat wheat and I don't eat pasta and I don't eat rice, but everything else was fair game. But I still had issues. I still had, medical type issues like gut problems, autoimmune problems, um, nervous system, muscular type things. Everything was getting a little wacky, and so I continued on the slide from low carb all the way through down to zero carb, um, and then even further where I took out dairy and coffee and really, really zero carb. So I haven't really had much of a break from thinking about what's going in my mouth for a really long time because every morsel that you eat or you drink is going to affect your physical body. And the morsels I was eating were affecting my physical body in ways that I was making me uncomfortable. So I did have to think a lot. And recently, in the last month, I haven't had to think about anything. Well, I've had to think about electrolytes, but that's been standardized by, I'll show you what I do. I'm moving around in my lounge room. I'm actually in my lounge room. That's why I have my beautiful little background. So hopefully this comes up on the screen. I have a little salt container. It used to have, well, it does have, but I don't use it anymore, a lid that has the holes in it so you can shake the salt. But this is Celtic sea salt, which has a little bit of moisture in it, so you can't really do the shaking. So I have a cute little spoon in here, and I either drink water from the kettle in a mug, which is a big mug, big glass mug, or look how the salt makes it so frosted. So this is what I do. I put water, and I won't put more salt in it, but about about that much. You can see about that much um, into a full glass of water, and I have this big metal straw that I use as a stirrer, and I drink. And um, basically, that's all I drink. So that's not really taking up a lot of thought because I've habituated that. Um, the water is filtered water, reverse osmosis filtered water, and then it has salt in it. And occasionally I will do a little electrolyte drink in the kitchen. Um, I will like really occasionally. I don't think I did it last week. I did it a couple of weeks before that, just to include a little bit of potassium. And every day I take magnesium tablets and iodine and Shilajit. Oh, careful, the lid doesn't come off. And I've already taken this morning. This is my version. Um, Pure Shilajit mineral resin, and I have lots of this in my cupboard. I like to be prepared just in case you can't get the things that you like to use. So that's the routine. That's all I've had to think about. I think about going to bed early. I think about keeping my life nice and peaceful. It's very inexpensive, so I don't have any pressure to do extra work and push myself. But I can if I want to. I spend a fair bit of time documenting my journey on paper or electronic paper, creating graphs. I'm going to show you a little bit in a second. But really, I don't have to think about what I'm eating because I'm not eating. I do remember to feed my dog though, and if I forget, he tells me. He's really good at it. He's got a clock in his stomach, like I used to have a clock in my brain. So today in our update, we're going to talk about what I just talked about, that I haven't broken my fast. I'm going to give you some figures and a graph to have a look at. And then the little rant I'm going to go on today is about naysayers. So if you're interested in that, stick around. So let me do a little bit of screen sharing for you. So we'll start off with the graph. Yeah, there you go. So let me just get a handle on that one. So yes, so here I basically transferred all the numbers from my diary over into this pages document. And then the top graph is exactly the same as the bottom graph. It's just um, the way that it's plotted is a little different. So you can see that the graph making software has decided to stop the graph at 100 kilograms. That's okay. It will go a little lower than that. And this is probably the graph that we should look at most. It's covering all the figures, so from 118 up here all the way down to 106.65, and I haven't put in, I think today's. Yeah, I haven't put today's in. It's only a little bit lower. You can see by the trajectory of the graph that in the first week it was quite a shock to my body to not be eating. So the numbers did drop quite a lot. So you've got a nice slope. And then we have a refeed, which my body obviously decided, hey, we'll just hang on to all this because there hasn't been any for a while. And then we have the next week coming down again. And you can see the slope it's not too bad. And then refeed again. So we go back up. Now, the next week, the slope isn't as steep. And then we had a refeed. And you can see that the refeed didn't cause as much weight retention. So my body started to really just get used to this idea of fasting and wasn't being very reactionary. And then we've had the slope again, and there would have been a refeed here, but you can see that there wasn't, and we're on the downward again. So that's that. Hello, back again. So the other one that I want to share with you, just in case there's something in here that I have missed. So here we are, fasting day 8, because I haven't broken the fast. And we're now down to a total of 11.5 kilograms as of today. Today's 106.25 kg. Now, in pounds, for people who are watching in pounds, that's 25.8 pounds down, if that's easier for you to sort of integrate. So, like I said, I was awake at 1 o'clock. I wish I wasn't. So I thought, well, I'll check work stuff. And if I'm tired, I'll go back to bed. I did. So ketones, when I did wake up, ketones are great, 3.4. Let's go all the way up to the the table at the top. So you can see this is, let's have a look from here. So February 24th is really and truly the 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 8. We're up to 8 now. It's the beginning of the long fast, the potentially 45-day fast. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's not a competitive thing for me. I'm not worried at all if I have to stop intermittently and then start again, attend to something. It's really no problem. And if an event that is planned doesn't happen and I continue fasting, then I continue fasting. This really is just it's very interesting that I, just as much as my old story was compelling me to eat all the time and to always be full in my stomach all the time, the absence of that story being then replaced with the true story that everything is totally fine in my life. I have no pressure, that I don't have to look after everybody else. None of that is true anymore. And I no longer have my dragon telling me that story all the time, all the time, all the time in relation to everything in my life. I really am just having a holiday from all of that internal noise. And it really feels like I'm compelled to fast. It doesn't mean that I don't have conscious awareness of what I'm doing. I do. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at it as closely as I can, attend to it. But the action that I'm taking is in line with the state that's in my body. I have a very, very calm state inside my body, and I feel very well, and I feel very peaceful inside my body. And when I was refeeding, I lost that peacefulness. And so I realized after I had learned what I needed to learn by doing the refeeds that I don't need to keep learning the same thing over and over. And I may as well just continue on until my body becomes not peaceful. And I need to go find out what's the matter and rectify it. So we can see that we've gone from 111.3 slowly, slowly, slowly down to 106.25 in 8 days. Would you like me to calculate that for you? Or maybe for me, maybe you've got calculators in your head, but I don't. So I'm just moving it around on my screen. 111.3 minus 106.25 is 5.05, but 5 kilograms. Now, if I multiply that by 2.2 for my US viewers, we have 11.11 pounds down. So if we say 5 divided by 8, because it's 8 days, I'm losing just over half a kilo, zero point 0.6 of a kilo. And if I multiply that by 2.2, you can see that I'm losing about 1.3 or 1.4 pounds per day. I'm very satisfied with that. If it was less, I'd probably be satisfied too. And if it was more, I'd be satisfied also. I'm very happy with that result. There's no stalling going on. My ketones are increasingly getting higher. We can have a look at the third column on the right is the highest ketones for the day, and the first column here on the left, the morning ketones. Now we can see once we hit day 5, which is usually where I would start to refeed and my ketones would drop out, they're just not dropping out. They're staying at that level. So I think that's a great advantage to what I'm doing. And potentially we will fill up all of these. This line is bright pink because I'm going to be in and amongst a whole lot of people who have known me since I was a teenager when I started getting fat, when this story was created and I was compelled to eat all the time. And so that pink line is there so that I understand where I'm at in relation to that day that I'm going to be out and about and in amongst all of those people. So that's what that line is for. It's not anything to do with my weight or anything. Okay, so that's the update. I don't think there's anything more that you want to know in terms of numbers. And I have my notes here. And I want to talk about naysayers because naysayers exist in the world and they're not bad people. Naysayers are just like everybody else. They're running stories, and a naysayer's story is just different to the actions they're observing you doing. So let's have a look at this example before I continue on. Oh, it doesn't seem to be there. Documents? No. Okay, I'm going to have to open it again. I just want to make it big enough for you. And now we will share, and there it is. Okay, so this is a comment. I've cut out the name of the person because that's unnecessary. It's not really about that. At visit JoannaRuth.Online is my my watching channel, so I pay for premium on that channel so that I don't have to watch advertisements. So I've named it Visit Me Online so I can advertise my website. So let me read you. This is one comment made on the Dave Mack interview. And there weren't that many comments. I think what I'm talking about in terms of story and in terms of fasting are both out of very left field, even for carnivores, because Many people achieve carnivore. Many people in our community achieve carnivore very well. They don't achieve fasting very easily. And, well, neither was I. So, a bunch of cycles of 5-day fasts, followed by 2 days of eating, is probably too much. She may tank her metabolism. I would suggest no more than 3 days of fasting in a week. And if you want to do a whole week fast, you need to refeed for 2 weeks. And as you can see, there are 5 likes on this comment. So, in terms of the amount of likes on all of the comments overall, 5 is quite a lot. So I want to consider not just the comment itself, but where a comment like that is coming from in a person, and and my response to it. So this is what I wrote, and then we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So thanks for the advice, but I'm doing very well. I'm quite happy to restore my metabolism if it slows at all, but considering I am dropping scale weight while also building muscle mass, there is no indication of my metabolism slowing. I'm more inclined to think that your warning comes from a story held within your mind. It doesn't hold true for me. So that's the example. So essentially what I want to talk to you about is, this is just one example, and it's the only comment that isn't highly supportive and beautiful in its language, and being supportive of my journey and what I'm doing. So it's not as if I have to battle against people being unsupportive of me. Um, when a person listens to another person's explanation of what they're doing, they can only reflect upon it as if it were them. So when someone is having a reaction, say giving advice to someone else who hasn't actually asked for it, who hasn't said that there are any problems, they've just explained that they're having great success and this is what they've been doing. This kind of giving of advice is coming from a reactionary place in a person's mind. If they were to do what they were listening to, what is being done, they would have the fears of tanking a metabolism. And so their suggestion is within their safety zone. Yeah. But their safety zone is not provided by evidence. Their safety zone is provided by a story. Now, that story can be bolstered by science. How much science is there, though, using people who have been carnivore for 6 years? How much science is there for people who have lipedema and obesity combined? Which, if you have lipedema, you're going to have obesity too, or a level of it. You may not have excessive obesity, but you will have excessive fat storage. My response when I read this is, who are you? What's your evidence? And did I ask you for advice? I don't think so. I'm not actually having any evidence of anything that you're suggesting might happen. And why would I even think about your story when my story is vastly different? You see, my perspective is that if a person has a story and they act outside of that story, they will cause themselves internal mischief in their body because their nervous system is going to respond. It's, when a dragon holds a story, it's not optional. It is all the time. My dragon held a story that compelled me to be full in my stomach, a state of fullness in my stomach, physical fullness, not satiation, physical fullness in my stomach, causing me to consume more food than what was ever required every minute of every day. Didn't let up. Middle of the night, wouldn't let up. If I was awake, it would be acting. It would find a reason to convince me to eat. That was its job. That's what I educated it to do, to save me from feeling less than or feeling vulnerable. It was creating fortification for me, using lipedema and obesity to create fortification for me. And that is why that's the only conditions that remained after being carnivore for 6 years and resolving all the other things, the laundry list of things wrong with me, which you can find on a really early video on my channel where I, look different. A story will create a state in your body, and the state is undeniable. States are chemical, and we consciously cannot forever, I mean, intermittently we can with our willpower, but not forever. We cannot override the state. We have to act. Eventually, we will have to act in accordance with our state. So I would expend energy trying to go on diets and changing things, and my nervous system would work out how to get me to follow my story. If a person refuses to follow their story, they will create more disharmony in their body than they had when they were following their story. It's a hugely double-edged sword. The damage that your dragon can do to you in the name of its truth is absolutely remarkable. So beware of the naysayer, because the naysayer is going to tell you their perspective via their story. And that is why I wrote, it doesn't hold true for me. This is not true. Tanking my metabolism, there's no evidence of it. I am still losing, what did we say? Half a kilogram, 0.6 of a kilogram every single day. And I'm not losing muscle mass because I'm exercising fiercely 3 times a week. And every day I do my infrared sauna and I hang on my pull-up bar and I rest when I need to rest. I'm doing this really consciously, really objectively. And if I was getting weaker, I wouldn't do it this way. But I'm not getting weaker. I'm getting stronger. I'm faster in the swimming pool. I swing on the bar way more. It's only my hands that can't hang on, but my body is fit and plank-like, much, much, much more than before. So we have to understand where people's reactions are coming from. They're never, ever coming from their logical mind. They're always coming from the egoic part of our left brain that thinks it always knows. It's really interesting how the left brain consciousness thinks it always knows. And even if it doesn't know, it's very, very certain. If there was a word to describe the left brain consciousness, it's certainty. Certain, I'm certain. So it's I'm certain, and even when I don't know, I'm certain that I don't know. I'm certain. It's always certainty. And so we can bring in the consciousness of the right brain, whichever way it's left or right for you. And the right brain isn't concerned about past or future or time. It's really just quite global. And so if you're looking for an answer, ask the part of your mind that doesn't know what day it is today. You might get a much better answer than if you ask your left brain. So we don't just have naysayers on the outside, we have naysayers on the inside, and that is our dragon. So which one is more powerful? Well, it's the dragon. See, now that I don't have a dragon, I don't have any dragons anymore active because I've debunked their lies, and well, they just don't exist anymore in my mind because I don't need them. If I needed one, I'd make one again. It's, if I felt myself in a vulnerable situation, but I doubt that's ever going to happen because I've really put myself out there into so many situations and I really don't feel vulnerable at all anywhere. So the internal naysayer really is the king, and when you win the war against your internal naysayer, your internal dragon, all you have to do is find the truth of today and hold it up like a mirror to the dragon and say, so, are you in line with this? Because your dragon really wants to be in truth. Okay, but you told it what the truth is way back when, and now you're and you haven't altered it. You haven't talked to your dragon since because you forgot. You felt all right. You felt fine. You felt fortified. You felt safe and stable and looked after. You forgot you had a dragon. So now you've got to have that conversation with your dragon. You've got to accept that you created the dragon and you've got to accept what today's truth is. And then you've got to figure out what truth you told your dragon and you've got to do the reconciliation between the two. That's how it works. And then your dragon is no longer creating a state of disharmony, chemical disharmony in your body that you're compelled to act out. It's just you've got your natural calm state of your body. Those blessed people in life that always feel confident and good, they have a really calm state in their body because they never created a dragon to take them out of that calm chemical state. They don't have anxiety. They don't have worries. They just have challenges, and then they go solve the challenges. They they just haven't had those issues in their lives. So when an external naysayer comes up to you and says, this is my advice, coming from their story, of course, because you're trying to do something that challenges their dragon and its truth, you're going to have, if you still have your dragon, you're going to have internal naysaying and external naysaying, and you're like a meat in a sandwich, and you're pretty much done for because you have external confirmation of an internal truth. Try and get your willpower to overcome that one. So that's my piece on naysayers and dragons, and how it really does affect you. And now that I am in a calm state, I didn't have an overreaction to this person having their own dragon, having a reaction, and giving me advice that I didn't ask for. And because when you invite people to make comments, you're inviting them to show their cards. And this is how I see people's communication. This person's communication really had nothing to do with me. I was just a trigger for her. What I'm doing, what I'm explaining about what I'm doing is just a trigger for her because she couldn't possibly be correct because all she has is one conversation that I don't even know that she listened to the entire conversation. She doesn't have any information about my health status. She doesn't have any information about my numbers because all I mentioned is the resulting weight loss. So a lot of her research to be giving this advice is fantastical. It's all made up. It's assumed. So suggesting that no more than 3 days of fasting in a week, I'm thinking, even if she was a doctor, first of all, I'm not her patient, and a doctor wouldn't be giving advice like this in a public forum. And so, how qualified is her opinion? It's really not, is it? So, if a person's opinion is highly unqualified, you probably find that the people who have qualified opinions don't actually give their opinion unless you ask them for their opinion and you're in a professional environment. They don't make comments like this on a YouTube video. So, therefore, this communication is like sitting in a poker game where everyone's turned their cards around. You can see their cards. So, for me, who has insight into people's emotion, people's psychology, people's dragon stories, I can see the story because I know the context of her making this comment. So, the time has come now for us all to start becoming a little bit more educated about dragons and their stories and the truth and how our psychology creates chemistry, and the chemistry is undeniable. So if you really want to win this war for yourself, you've got to get strategy. You've got to don't exhaust yourself with battling all the time with something that you're never going to win overall. You've got to work smarter, not harder. You want to save your energy for achieving your goals, for focusing on paying attention to what you're doing rather than fighting with your dragon. Because the dragon works 24/7 and will never give up and has endless energy, and you don't. Because you are multitasking all day long. And when you're sleeping, your dragon is active. And when you're awake, your dragon is active. Your dragon is always active because you asked it to help you. So that's it from me. I hope you really, really enjoyed this episode of the Fasting Diaries. And I also want to mention thank you to everyone who is joining the Facebook group. It is called Low to Zero Carb. open to the public. I even have one person who has paid membership, so thank you very much. And I wanted to mention that all the membership money in the fledgling time frame of the Facebook groups growing will go into paying for Facebook advertising to encourage more people to come in and join the open to the public group so that we really can build a community and we can start thinking in a very practical, pragmatic and sensible way about achieving goals, particularly for our health. Because if you haven't got your health, you're not going to achieve any of your other goals. So this is a foundational goal that we really need to get on top of. And we need to use all the resources that are available to us. So thank you again to my first member in the membership group. And if you need help, come into the Facebook group. If you need more help, come into the members group. It's only $25 a month and you can cancel your subscription when you're done. There's no obligation to stay. Although if you feel the need to contribute because you've received so much, you can just leave your membership running for a little bit longer and perhaps just stick around and help some other people if you feel inclined. And if you need more help than that, you can have individual coaching. Pardon me. Have a great day. Sorry if I'm speaking a little quieter today because and no natural lighting. The sun hasn't come up yet in Melbourne. It's 6:45 now, and hopefully I'll be off to the park in about half an hour with my dog. Ciao for now. Have a great day.
Here's a playlist for the entire series. Please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. See you in the next video.